Who acted as your bridge to the next stage and to the progression of where you now are in your career? Like in that early side, where did it come from?
Well, one thing I was thinking while you were saying that is I think like when you're young, you don't feel like you're the successful person, right? So all your friends are a version of you.
Okay.
You're trying to break in and you believe in your friends, like, oh my God, my friend's the funniest person ever.
Yeah.
And then as you start doing better, I still feel like one of those people who's trying to break in.
Okay.
You know, so I always feel like that's the space that I'm in.
Okay.
Or I want to stay in that space where everyone I believe in hasn't made it yet. So when I started, I lived with Sandler for a while. Rob Schneider lived across the street. David Spade lived down the street. I would drive over the hill to Jim Carrey's house to help him with stuff, jokes, sketches for In Living Color. And I was the one person that was like, I'll help you write your jokes. See, everyone wanted to be a star, so no one wanted to write jokes for anybody else.
Yeah.
I thought, I need to pay my rent. So if I can get a comedian to give me $50 a joke to help, that's the best job in the world. And not many comedians wanted to do that. So
well, why were you okay with that? Like, what is it that, you know, early on, I mean, the ego is supposed to be present in the beginning of the career.
See, that's where my lack of ego worked, because I always thought, well, I'm not gonna be Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
But I can't believe I get to sit with Jim Carrey and help him.
Wow.
I didn't have that, I wasn't competitive with everyone, because I think in my gut, I'm like, you know, we all loved Bill Murray, we loved Eddie Murphy.
Yeah.
I think the idea in my own head, oh, I'm gonna be like them, disappeared very quickly. But I loved to hang. I loved that it made people happy to get jokes. I loved that I could get paid. And I felt like, I love what they're doing so much. It's so fun to see them succeed.
I was gonna say, when you talk about Jim Carrey, you know, in Living Color days, like the Jim Carrey success on In Living Color was astronomical. Right?
And to sit with Jim, and Jim's like, I have this idea for this character, Vera DeMilo, and it's kind of like Conan the Barbarian, and I'm in this little bikini. It's not just that, it's like, there's Jim, and you're helping him out. He writes most of it, because he's a genius, but you're kind of getting him going because you're so enthusiastic, and you make a contribution. But then he does it, and it is a 10. And that, to me, was always even more exciting than me having a good set.
Look at the names you just said. You're talking about David Spade. You're talking about Jim Carrey.
Well, I didn't write for Spade.
You didn't write for Spade, but you say the names. I'm just saying the environment.
Yeah, that was the group, and also there was a feeling like, I think everyone's gonna bust through. Like, I know we all just had a confidence. It was more like, we don't know when it's gonna happen, we don't know how it's gonna happen, but it seems like everyone's gonna work. Like,
who else at that time were you writing with or for?
One of the first people I wrote for was George Wallace.
Wow.
And George Wallace said, Judd, I have 2 types of jokes. Stupid shit, things I don't understand. And then he goes, wait, there's a third category. What if I was president?
Wow.
And so I sat down and wrote jokes like that. And he's the nicest man in the world and the funniest.
Yes.
The one person at the Improv who was always nice to us when we were nobody.
George Wallace.
And then I wrote some jokes for Taylor Negron. I got a job writing for Dennis Miller, who was doing a HBO pregame show to Paul Simon live in Central Park. And so there was a half-hour Dennis Miller hosting, talking about the history of Paul Simon. And you know, Dennis was unbelievable at that moment.
Is this all word of mouth? Like, oh, Judd's a good person. Like, how are you finding yourself?
Well, I'm in the clubs, and I know people.
Yeah.
My manager, Jimmy Miller, Dennis Miller's brother, he was helping find me work, and he would like tell people, like, you should let Judd write jokes for you. But everyone needed jokes.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like the hardest gigs to get, because there actually weren't many people out there attempting that.